He's putting out on the internet turtles with rocket-propelled grenades. Have you seen this? This is the Secretary of Defense.
I don't know anything about it. He said he did not say that, and I believe it.
Senator Mark Kelly just completely melted down after Secretary of War Pete Hegseth mocked the mainstream media for accusing him of war crimes, all because he ordered military strikes on drug boats in the Caribbean. And how did Hegseth mock the absurd allegation? Well, he posted a cartoon of a turtle with a bazooka shooting a rocket at a boat. That's it, a cartoon turtle. And Mark Kelly absolutely lost his mind over it. Now, the Washington Post just ran a story essentially accusing Pete Hegseth of war crimes. And according to the article, sources claimed Hegseth ordered a strike on a Caribbean drug boat with the instruction to kill them all. Two anonymous sources, whose identities we don't know, made the claim. And of course, this has Democrats crawling out of the woodwork, screaming that the Trump administration, and specifically Pete Hegseth, is committing war crimes, all for trying to keep drugs out of the United States. But this article, which strikes a very ominous tone from the very beginning, says this: the longer the U.S. surveillance aircraft followed the boat, the more confident intelligence analysts watching from command centers became that the 11 people on board were ferrying drugs. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth gave a spoken directive according to two people with direct knowledge of the operation. Quote, "The order was to kill everybody," one of them said. Then it describes in great detail this missile that hit the boat. It says, a missile screamed off the Trinidad coast, striking the vessel and igniting a blaze from bow to stern. For minutes, the commanders watched the boat burning on a live drone feed. As the smoke cleared, they got a jolt. Two survivors were clinging to the smoldering wreck. And then it details apparently this order that Pete Hegseth gave to send another missile to take care of these two survivors. It says the Special Operations Commander overseeing the September 2nd attack, the opening salvo in the Trump administration's war on suspected drug traffickers in the Western Hemisphere, ordered a second strike. To comply with Hegseth's instructions, two people familiar with the matter said, and then the two men were blown apart in the water. But this allegation was denied by Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary of the White House, who clarified that it wasn't Pete Hegseth who authorized a second strike on the boat. It was actually Admiral Bradley. And even then, he was completely within his authority, she said. And I mean, come on, we're talking about drug smugglers here. When you look at the devastation drugs are causing in the United States and the fact that these drugs are coming from overseas, I completely agree with the decision to take action. It's honestly pretty laughable that Democrats are trying to grandstand, turning this into some political weapon to make Pete Hegseth seem unhinged, when in reality, this only makes him look stronger. And again, it wasn't even Hegseth. It was Admiral Bradley. But this is what Caroline Leavitt in the White House had to say about the situation.
I have a statement to read for you here. President Trump and Secretary Hegseth have made it clear that presidentially designated narco-terrorist groups are subject to lethal targeting in accordance with the laws of war. With respect to the strikes in question on September 2nd, Secretary Hegseth authorized Admiral Bradley to conduct these kinetic strikes. Admiral Bradley worked well within his authority and the law, directing the engagement to ensure the boat was destroyed and the threat to the United States of America was eliminated.
So there we go. Once again, this is exactly what I voted for. Oh no, you're telling me drug smugglers are getting blown up in the Caribbean? Oh, please don't do that. No. No, this is exactly what I want. I'm glad this is happening. I'm glad that Pete Hegseth and Admiral Bradley, in this case, are carrying out these orders. They're taking care of the problems that are spilling into the United States, the overarching issues that have rippling effects on our society and cultures, issues that have literally ruined lives and torn families apart. But Pete Hegseth took to Twitter to mock this ridiculous narrative being pushed by the Democrats, including members of the so-called Seditious Six, and of course the mainstream media, and specifically the Washington Post. He posted a cartoon from this classic Franklin series, and he said, "For your Christmas wish." And this is the photo that he posted. It was titled, you can see it looks like a book cover, titled "Franklin Targets Narco Terrorists." And in it, A turtle is in a helicopter armed with a bazooka firing a missile at a boat. And personally, I find this hilarious. And compared to other ways the Trump administration has relentlessly mocked the mainstream media, and for good reason, this is actually one of the gentler ways to do it. Hegseth is making it clear he doesn't regret what happened. He thinks the media's overreaction is ridiculous, and he doesn't believe the American people will side with him. The public understands what's important, and they're perfectly okay with drug boats being taken out in the Caribbean. Let me repeat that. We are okay with drug boats being bombed in the Caribbean. Yes, I said it. But somebody who did not find this hilarious at all, someone who is extremely offended by what Pete Hegseth posted, was none other than one of the Seditious Six himself. Yes, it is disgraced senator and someone who is being apparently court-martialed by Pete Hegseth. So he has reason to be upset at Pete Hegseth, let me tell you. He's been personally offended. But this is what was posted by Nick Sorter, and I like how he put this. He says, LMAO, Senator Mark Kelly, one of the Seditious Six, is now on the verge of tears over Secretary Hegseth's meme. Quote, he's putting out on the internet turtles with rocket-propelled grenades. And he says, this faux outrage from Democrats is so pathetic. And then he attaches this video of Pete Hegseth, or not Pete Hegseth, Mark Kelly absolutely losing his mind over this cartoon that Secretary of War Pete Hegseth posted. Take a listen.
He's putting out on the internet turtles with rocket-propelled grenades. Have you seen this? This is the Secretary of Defense. This is not a serious person. He should have been fired after Signalgate.
Okay, first of all, Senator Mark Kelly, that's Secretary of War to you, bucko. Remember, the name was changed from Department of Defense to Department of War. So let's use the correct terminology here. Second of all, you're actually saying that Pete Hegseth is not the one to be taken seriously, even though you're one of the Seditious Six who called on members of the military and intelligence community to disobey direct orders from the commander-in-chief. Let's break this down. Who really shouldn't be taken seriously? On one side, Pete Hegseth is bombing drug-smuggling boats in the Caribbean. And then on the other, you're on TV telling our military and intelligence personnel to ignore the president's orders. If it were up to me, I'd say it's pretty clear who people shouldn't take seriously. And Mark Kelly, unfortunately, that's you. President Trump was also asked about the situation recently, what he thought about what apparently happened. And he basically said, well, Pete Hegseth says he didn't do it, so I'm going to reserve my judgment.
Can you talk a little bit about the strikes and the controversy around Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth?
I don't know anything about it. He said he did not say that, and I believe it.
So you don't know if there was
The two men.
the second strike was a little too bad.
He said he didn't do it. He said he never said
Would you be okay with that if he did?
it. He said he didn't do it, so I don't have to make that decision.
So essentially, this looks like a classic he said, she said situation. The media and the Democrats are claiming that Pete Hegseth did this horrible thing, ordering a second strike. Personally, it wouldn't bother me. With the sheer volume of drugs coming into the country, I think we should do everything possible to stop it. And even here, it looks like it wasn't even Pete Hegseth. It was another admiral. Trump himself said it wasn't Hegseth. He said he didn't do it. But the reality is, because of Hegseth's proximity to the action, the media and the Democrats are going to pin it on him. They want a recognizable name from the Trump administration to target, and Pete Hegseth fits that bill. They're also using this as a wedge issue. Hegseth is going after Mark Kelly, a member of the Seditious Six, saying he should be court-martialed for calling on military and intelligence personnel to disobey Trump's orders. So this isn't just about a strike. It's about sending a message and attacking anyone in the Trump administration who's visible and influential. And of course, this is why Mark Kelly is losing his mind over a harmless cartoon that was posted by Pete Hegseth. But what do you guys think of the whole situation? Do you think what Pete Hegseth posted was appropriate? What do you think of Mark Kelly losing it over this cartoon? And ultimately, what do you think about this second strike that was ordered? Would you support it if it actually was ordered by Pete Hegseth? Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Like and subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate it. But until then, I'll see you on the next one.